All right, folks, back to work. Boy, pretty darn good day today. Hope you guys made some money out there. The CPI report, of course, came out, and boy, what a big reversal going higher. Now, this big move higher, I would imagine everyone's waiting to buy a pullback right now. Pullbacks, they sound pretty easy, but we all know that timing the perfect pullback is a bit more difficult, isn't it? So we'll talk about timing the perfect pullback tonight. And I'll tell you, you'll see tonight on the charts right now, I wouldn't count these bears out just yet. In fact, if we play our cards right for tomorrow, we might be able to make money on both sides of the short side and the long side, kind of within this perfect pullback we'll talk about tonight in the video. So I have a number of trades on my radar for tomorrow. We're going to cover all of them in tonight's video. By the time we're done, you'll have an easy roadmap to make some more money tomorrow morning as well. So charts ready to go. Enough of the intro. We're a bit late here, so let's jump right into it. Go find some more winning trades here. Get ready for what should be another great day tomorrow morning. S&P and SPY is all ready. NASDAQ triple Qs are all ready. Glad to see you are with me here as well. I have four clues on the charts here tonight that are telling me where I think the winning trades are waiting for tomorrow. One of those big clues is right here on these hourly time frames right now. The hourly charts right now, we definitely have that big bullish reversal back into that range that we talked about in last night's video. And again, I'm sure everyone's trying to buy a pullback right now. But are you seeing this as well, right? Look at that big channel coming down, right? Big channel coming down. That tells me bears are probably hanging out up here. But look closely on the S&P and SPY right now. We are right at a kind of a symmetrical correction or a measured pullback. The NASDAQ has a little bit more space to go. But boy, I would imagine, right, a lot of resistance up around this area. So again, buyers definitely have some opportunities for tomorrow because that's a lot of momentum off that low right now. But again, I think you'll see here in a moment here, there's a lot of potential for some shorts, right, during that perfect kind of pullback here for tomorrow. So now I have three more important clues here on some faster time frames that will help us wrap this all together and put a game plan for tomorrow. But let's check schedule for tomorrow because there's two things that you want to be aware of. Now, first things first, that retail sales number tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern time will definitely be the big news that we know about for tomorrow morning. And also, you may not be aware of this, but it's that time of the quarter again. We now go into earnings season. We have TSMC. We got Taiwan Semiconductor tomorrow before the open. Be expecting to get some volatility around that tomorrow morning. The race for AI is on right now, and people watching to see how they're doing tomorrow morning. So retail sales 8:30, but again, think about probably between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock, that TSMC report tomorrow morning could really shake things up before we get to the opening bell at 9:30. Let's get back to our charts though. It's good to know when the news is, but we all know by now the money is made on the charts here. Let's start first on the S&P and SPY. We'll wrap it up here tonight. The NASDAQ triple Qs. Again, you can see that channel I mentioned earlier coming down, and what a great clue there, right? That measured pullback. Lots of resistance up there. Let's drill this to tick charts though, because we don't trade off a 60-minute time frame. We trade off tick charts in our trade room. This, by the way, is a 7,000 tick chart. All the time frames you'll need are in the upper left-hand corner. And if you're tuning in for the first time right now, welcome to the channel. That yellow line right there is a 21 EMA. It's pretty much the only indicator we use to find winning trades in our trade room. There are three really big clues here, really important clues on this tick chart right now. First big clue is it is a big clue. It's a big move going higher. Now, whenever we see a big move like this, we don't want to buy high, we want to buy low, and usually that means a two-legged pullback, right? Allow this market to pull back a little bit and buy nice and low here. Now, that leads me into the second clue we see right now. We just broke out. We talked about that rotation in last night's video. We just broke out of that trading range. And if there's one thing you need to learn about ranges, when they break out of ranges, it's not an if, it's a when they're going to break out pullback off of that trading range. We saw one of these earlier on in the week. We had that breakout pullback. We talked about that earlier on in the week here. Now, there's one more important clue. There's a range right in there. Now, why is that important? Because ranges love to rotate up, down, up. And unless these buyers can keep on pushing this thing overnight, it's going to want to rotate back down. And when you take that rotation into account, combine that with that big move up, combine that with that breakout pullback, this could really open the door for some sellers to pile on as it rolls down, kind of downhill there. Put those clues together, and what I want you to think about right now, kind of the dream scenario here for tomorrow, and we'll cover some variations as we go deeper here today, but the kind of the dream scenario right now is to get that deep pullback, get that bounce off that breakout pullback zone. Now, one downside, or maybe not downside, but one thing to keep in mind is whenever we see a big move like that and the pullback has to be really, really deep to get back to that breakout pullback zone, all of that momentum going lower, it's going to want to pull back and retest that low before we get that big rally going higher here. So if we play our cards right, we can definitely look for some shorts on the way down, buy the breakout pullback, sell the breakout pullback, right? Sell the breakout pullback. And you know me, right? One of my favorite trades is always that retest trade, right? That retest trade, and we'll go into more detail here as we go deeper here tonight, but that retest trade could be the biggest winner of the week for these buyers. So let's break this down here right now. We'll go through each of these step by step, and we'll give you some variations here because you know these markets like to throw curveballs at us here. As we're pulling back right now, let's get one thing straight. This is a very bullish market right now. It's fueled by news. The CPI report was kind of better than expected today. So let's get one thing straight. It's very difficult to pick a top on these. As you can see, sometimes it'll keep grinding higher there. So I don't want to pick a top on this. What I want to do is I want to start getting some separation off the moving average. Once I can see some separation off the moving average, what I mean by that is when it pulls back, right? It doesn't pull back. See over here, they don't get that separation over there. I want to get some separation off the moving average, and that is where we look for lower low in price, and we basically sell a bull trap going lower. Now, I'm going to talk about some variations of this a bit later on in the video because these do come in lots of different shapes and sizes, but the key to this is rather than trying to pick the top up here, I'm going to wait for this momentum to shift a little bit and then look for that short, what is basically a bull trap pattern. Now, again, we know where the market wants to go at that point. It wants to come back down to that breakout pullback zone. As we get that breakout pullback zone now tested, remember, this is going to be a lot of momentum. It's not going to be easy to go all the way back up again. It's going to want to bounce, retest, and then back up again. So to pick that bottom here, I have to use what is ultimately another trap pattern. It's a bull trap off the high, but as we come lower here, is this a good place to sell? No, right? This is not where you want to sell. You want to sell high, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So this is where I want to trap in some sellers. Let those bears try once. Let them try twice. Now watch closely. It's a higher high in price, and it's a bear trap. Just like I teach in our free video class, I want a strong, very convincing signal candle, green candle there, and we're in on the on the bear trap, excuse me. Now, in this scenario, I have to be careful because we know the underbelly of that range is a great place for a first target. It's a horrible spot to be a buyer. I'm looking to take a 1-to-1 target before we get up to the underbelly of that range. And who knows, right? Maybe it keeps on going. Final targets will be back up and retest the high. But it's very likely, though, that as we get up into the underbelly of that range, now it's very likely now buyers come in, they try to chase after it going higher. I made this mistake so much when I was a new trader. I wouldn't have the guts to buy the bear trap. I'd chase after it going higher, and now I'm buying high. I'm buying right as the buyers down here are taking their profit up there. Not a good spot to be a buyer. So if we can get buyers trying twice, yeah, now I know where their stops are. Now I know where their pain is. If you're caught long, get stopped out, what happens? You sell your way out. That's a failure pattern, like I teach in our free video classes. And then think about this now. There's two levels I want you to be aware of. One is a retest of that low. The second one, the breakout leg, is a measuring leg. All right, that's going to give us now a zone of support, right down here, okay? I don't know how big that breakdown leg will be, but I do know how to find that measured move area. Okay, so that area right now, that becomes an area where we can trade that retest trade we love so much in our trade room. We run down, we go, again, somewhere in this area. I don't have a crystal ball. What I do know for sure is, though, I don't want to sell that area. If I can get bears trying once and twice, I'm gonna look for that. What's basically a bear trap, but it's a failure pattern like I teach in the free video course, and then we'll try to run that thing back up. Profit targets come off at that high, runner up, of course, at that big high overhead. So this is kind of the dream scenario for tomorrow. Momentum shifts, gets separation off that moving average, bull trap off that high. We roll lower, bear trap to buy the bounce, right? We then go in and sell that breakout pullback with a failure pattern. And again, we look at, okay, how big is that leg down? Find that zone right there, somewhere between the low and that zone. We then look for what is ultimately a variation of a bear trap. It's a 2-try failure. And again, the reason why we love traps is because it squeezes stops, right? It squeezes stops. Sellers get trapped. They have to get out of their short positions. They buy their way out and then whoop, right back up to retest those highs. All right, so that is the dream scenario for tomorrow. I have a couple more variations of this we'll talk about in a second here, but let's slow down for a second, because if you're watching for the first time right now, this might be like, what the heck is this guy talking about? I know most folks watching, you guys know these already. You're making money on these already. But if you're here for the first time right now, don't worry. I teach this entire roadmap. I have a ton of examples of bear traps, bull traps, failure patterns, retest trades. I cover this in so much more detail in our free video classes. I'll put a link up top here for you, upper right-hand corner. Hit that link that popped up there. Take that free trading course, because the strategy I teach in that video series will teach you a simple trick we use in our members trade room that really tells us exactly where the winning trades are going to be each day. Very easy to learn. More importantly, I want to teach you how to time better entries, my favorite entry setups, so you can time better entries, make a lot more money. Guys, the markets are way too good right now not to be making consistent profits. So if you're tired of missing the best entries, if you've lost your confidence like I did when I was a new trader in your current trading strategy, hit that link that popped up there. Take that free trading course. Everyone loves all the trade examples I share in that short video series. The best part is it is 110% free for you. Also, too, keep in mind, too, I'm going to put all the important links you'll need in the description of the YouTube video. Start first on the free video course. Most people, they stop losing money. Most folks turn the corner in their trading just with that free video course. So start there first. And don't forget, we trade together every morning in our trade room. I'll put trade room membership links down there for you so you can join us and trade along each morning. And if you're on Twitter X, I post a ton of charts and videos and updates on Twitter X. Give me a follow. Again, all the details you'll need to learn more and hopefully earn a lot more are linked in the description of that YouTube video. Okay, so I went over the dream scenario, and I will talk about in a moment if we go higher here. Don't you worry, I'm gonna cover all the bases here for us right now. I mentioned earlier that I wanna get some separation away from that moving average and then look for those bull traps going higher. Turn that momentum over, because it can be difficult to pick these tops here. One variation you be aware of is sometimes these will go up, they'll get whacked down and start grinding down, okay? Grinding down. Now, grinding markets are very difficult to stop. They're very difficult to stop, okay? So if we pop and begin grinding down like that, I'm no longer now looking to buy that dip, all right? What I'm now gonna do, though, is now get more serious about finding that breakout pullback. Draw a trend line off of that low. The goal will be now look left, find some of these prior swings, and as always, I want to short that first test off of that high. 1, 2, 2-try failure. Same basic idea I mentioned earlier. Now, one thing about these pop and grinds, and this is very, very important, is that the pop leg is the measuring leg. Now, why is it important? Well, because now, if I can get that short off the top of that channel like that, now I know where my target is. And more importantly, now I know where I can rope in some sellers now, use their stops, 1, 2, right, and buy into the stops for that retest trade. Right. Again, the retest trade in these scenarios, because we need such a deep pullback to attract in more buyers, oftentimes the retest trade is just a lot easier way to make money. So couple things about that, right? That grind down, if it's grinding down, it's very difficult because sometimes these things pop and they grind and grind and grind, right? Sometimes they grind forever and then they finally pull back. We get that short right off the high. Again, breakout or the pop leg, right? Measuring leg. And then we can start looking right to buy those bounces back up again. Okay, I want to talk about a few more variations of this, but now you know kind of my dream scenario, more importantly, how to profit from that kind of perfect pullback here. Let's grab NASDAQ right now. I hear you, NASDAQ. He's getting lonely over here right now. Over on the NASDAQ. First though, if you're enjoying this video right now, please help me grow this channel by hitting that like button, subscribe for me, and share this link with other trading buddies. YouTube rewards me every time you like, share, and subscribe. So I know we're all busy people, and I really appreciate you guys spending a few minutes with me every evening here on these videos. So thank you for all the support, the likes, subscribe, shares. Now I'm done begging for likes here, right? Let's get back to work here and talk. Gotta love YouTube, right? Gotta love YouTube. Gotta beg for those likes here. Anyways, easy to see right now, that channel in the 60-minute chart, right? That channel in the 60-minute chart, quite obvious. You can see here too, right? The size of that move going higher, right? A little bit higher. So I wouldn't be totally surprised if we do see this thing continue to grind up a little bit. The NASDAQ is a bit higher up on that channel as well. Okay, so we're bullish in the short term. But again, I wouldn't count these bears out yet. I wouldn't come out yet at all. This could be one great spot for a bull trap into a nice, perfect pullback, as I mentioned, higher. Now, first clue here on the tick charts here, big move going higher. We don't want to buy high. We want to buy low. When I think about buying low, I think about a two-legged pullback. Think about a measured move, right? Two-legged pullback, measured move. That sets up right along with that breakout pullback, pullback. And again, this trading range, at least in my opinion, is a really big clue, right? Because now if it rotates, if it does go higher, it begin rotating off that high now. Again, rotation can be very, very aggressive as it rotates. And as it spits out the bottom here, that creates a lot of momentum. So the same dream scenario, the dream perfect pullback I mentioned earlier on the S&P still definitely applies. If we go higher here, again, I'm not going to try to pick a top up here because it may keep on grinding higher here. I don't have a crystal ball. All I can do is play the odds based on what I see right now. So if we do grind higher here right now, the key, at least for me, will be to get that separation off the moving average. That separation is the clue here. Again, they didn't get any separation there. We didn't get any separation there, right? So once we start getting separation, then above those prior swings, right? That is where the shorts are going to come from. And again, same thing down here, right? Bear trap down here. Think about that. Breakout, pullback for that retest. Okay, we're not going to do the whole thing again here over on the NASDAQ. Now, what if we keep going higher here right now, right? What if we keep grinding higher? In all reality, this 60-minute chart, right? This channel may not hold. We mentioned last night and pretty much all week this week, this is a range right there. And so it may keep on running, right? It may keep on rotating up off the low of that trading range. There's no guarantee that that channel holds, and we're pretty bullish right now. So as we run higher here, remember, anytime we break out of a trading range, we begin looking for what are basically breakout pullbacks. Now let's unpack this for a second. Let's think about this, because whenever we see a breakout leg, right? A breakout leg, what is that? What does it do? It gives us a measuring leg. So as we're going higher, right, and start thinking about where that measured move is, okay? That's going to give us that area of resistance. So if this thing starts just, cooking, going higher overnight, we got earnings tomorrow morning. Again, I don't know what will happen. All I know is if we do run higher here, I'm thinking about where that measured move is. And then at that measured move, this is where you apply that same, again, separation off the moving average, bull trap above that high, and back down again. Now, this is really where things get interesting because we're either going to hold that pullback, right, for a breakout pullback, or what's going to happen is it's going to roll and really, really tumble, right? It'll be basically a pendulum swing off of that high. So let's game plan that for a second, right? If we go higher here, one thing's for sure, I don't like the idea of buying up here, right? We're very, very high up. You're playing with fire, trying to be a buyer up here. I like the bull trap with that separation. If we can get that pull back to that moving average, the buy side now is that same one try, two try, because again, there's the last thing I want to do is step right in front of that freight train if it rolls over, and we'll talk about that short here in a moment. But if we can hold the top of that range, again, in this scenario, it's going to be a pretty aggressive move higher here overnight. It'll complete that measured move, then pull back. Trap those bears in. Remember, think about this. If you're caught short here and you get stopped out of your short trade, the only way out is to buy your way out, right? So that's why these failure patterns, they work so well. The target on this is definitely going to be up to retest that high, right? So target is back up to retest that high. And then from there, we'll kind of play it by ear from there. We'll see what happens up at those highs, right? If we blast right through that high, then we know we're looking for more two-legged pullbacks, so we're not buying high. But if we start seeing these buyers, right, if they 1, 2 right there, we can now look for that two-try failure, right? Two-try failure, and the goal is to go back down and take out that low. Now, we had something similar this morning, right? We ran up, retested, we saw 1, we saw 2. Remember, when I short these things, it's always going to be that 1-to-1 first target. You'll learn about that in the free video course, right? Stop moves down to point of entry and we leave a runner, right? So sometimes we get a big runner, sometimes we don't, right? So all we got was a little scalp right off of that high. Same idea right over here. Remember, retest trades are really, really kind of the most reliable trades we get in our trade room. So that is the scenario if we go higher here overnight. Could easily happen. Now, the next one though is what I think all the bears would love to get for tomorrow, right? And that is maybe a bit of a punch up, right? All of a sudden people realize, wait a second, we're way, way high up. Again, we have that symmetrical level up overhead there. What's that? 216 or so there on the NASDAQ. Anywhere in this area really is fine by me. But we may end up running up here. We may end up getting that separation below that moving average, right? And just dumping, right? It may just dump, right? Just collapse back off that high. If it collapses and begins to grind, remember, it's very difficult to stop a grinding market. And again, a grinding market, you'll know it because it'll separate away from that moving average. I can't overstate how valuable learning how to use the 21 EMA is. There's a reason why I don't have any other moving averages on here, because I don't want to know where they are. Ignorance is bliss, okay? Literally, ignorance is bliss. All I need to do is that 21 will tell me if I see separation on this now we know that range is trying to rotate back down again. We're trying to get to that breakout pullback zone, and you know how to do this now, right? We mark off that low, up around that high. We look left, find some of these prior swings, and my favorite trade is always that first test is the best test off that high. And again, this could be a bull trap, like I'm showing you here. It could be a buyer failure pattern, a pullback combination. Again, if that's not making sense to you right now, that free video course mentioned earlier, that will fill in all the gaps there, right? And then again, down here, if this happens, this becomes a very strong run down. They're going to want to pull back, retest that low before we go back up again. So the reason I mention this is I'll be very cautious buying that move going lower, right? As it goes lower here, it needs to be that 1, 2, not a failure pattern here. Not the failure pattern's good on the retest. On the initial move down, it really needs to be a bear trap. Right? I need to be buying as low as I can. That way I'm getting that 1-to-1 first target. before I run into resistance overhead, because this thing may roll over on me. I need to be in the green on that trade as early as I can. Get rid of that risk as fast as I can. Hopefully, it just keeps on going and no harm done. But a lot of times though, when this thing really rolls off the high of that range like that, that's a lot of momentum, right? It doesn't matter how big that move up today was. That momentum going lower will want to retest that low. So it's gotta be a bear trap. Okay. Once it does retest that low, yeah, now anybody who sells up here, they're buying their way out here, right? So this is a much easier trade now to use a failure pattern, 1, 2, and buy into stops from there. So it's very important that in the free video class, make sure you learn the difference between a bear trap entry and a 2-try failure. They're both trying to run stops because stops are fuel to fuel our profit targets, but one of them, the trap, gets me in a lot lower, right, than the failure pattern, right? That's why one is more aggressive than the other, all right? One last variation, we'll wrap things up here for tonight. If we do end up all the way down here, again, I mentioned earlier, right, look for that bear trap down below that low here. Let's face it, right? This market may V bottom and whoop, right back up again. So as we get that run going lower, remember, if it does V bottom off of that low, it's always going to be that grinder, find that channel off that low. I know a lot of you guys love these. I get a bunch of emails each week about this pattern right here, those V bottom entry patterns, right? Again, I love to bear trap off that low, but if I can't get it, I don't control the markets. I need a game plan to whatever I get, right? So if we can't get that low and it grinds up like that, again, mark off that high, find that channel, and don't miss that first test for that rotation back up again. All right. I know I covered a lot of different scenarios in this video. My crystal ball is not as clear in this scenario because, again, big move up, but that big bear channel coming down on the 60. So a lot of potential right now on both the short side and the long side. We'll see if we get that perfect pullback scenario for tomorrow. And remember, don't forget, tomorrow morning, the place to be is in our trade room, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We'll take what the market gives us. We'll adapt to changing conditions. Again, I'm going to put all the important links you'll need to learn more tonight. I'll put all that in the description of this YouTube video. The easiest way to start making money right now is to get with us, learn and trade along with us every morning in the trade room. Start first on the free video course. Again, most people start making money with that all on their own with that free video class. So enjoy all those trade examples. Then come join me in the trade room and we'll do it together. In the meantime, be well out there. Be nice to each other, will you? And you better be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye for now.